her. So civil complaint, simply allegations, needs to be proven in a court of law, but if true, it could rise to the level of criminality, and we'll see what happens, or if the DA looks and investigates.
It's interesting because obviously this civil suit was coming for a while.
Yep.
And there was some talk between Busby and Jay-Z's lawyers. I think both Busby and Jay-Z's lawyers are really alphas.
Okay, you are seriously not going to believe this. There's like a seismic event shaking Hollywood to its core right now. And the epicenter, it seems to be Diddy. But the real shockwaves, they could actually bring down Jay-Z and Beyoncé's whole empire. You need to buckle up for this one.
It's wild. Because this wasn't even what the feds were looking for, apparently. They raid Diddy's properties, right? Probably expecting, the usual kind of celebrity excess stuff.
Right, the standard things.
Exactly. And instead, they supposedly trip over this, digital treasure chest.
Yeah.
We're talking hard drives, tapes, digital files.
Yeah.
The works.
Wow.
And it's allegedly packed with footage that could be absolutely ruinous for some major players in the industry.
And when you say major players, we're talking the absolute pinnacle, the Carters, Jay-Z and Beyoncé. Their names are suddenly right smack in the middle of this whole developing mess.
Yeah.
I mean, just think about it for a second. The power couple, the pristine image, that dynasty they've built so carefully.
Right.
And now it feels like the ground is literally shaking under them.
Well, and what's really fanning the flames here are these whispers about Diddy's possible motive. The word on the street is that he feels completely hung out to dry by the Carters, like they didn't support him through his own legal troubles.
Betrayed, basically.
Feels like it.
Yeah.
And his alleged reaction, well, if he's going down, maybe he's taking everyone else with him. They're saying he's sitting on this, quote, treasure trove of receipts.
Oh, the receipts are definitely being mentioned. But yeah, these aren't your average drugstore receipts, are they?
Not even close.
We are talking about alleged video footage from these super exclusive parties Diddy used to host. But here's the kicker. Insiders are apparently calling them orchestrated setups.
Setups?
Yeah. Imagine these incredibly lavish parties, everyone's relaxed, letting their guard down, and supposedly cameras were always rolling, always. Allegedly catching people in some, let's just say, very compromising positions.
It puts a whole different spin on what those gatherings might have actually been about, doesn't it? Their term that keeps surfacing, freak-offs.
Yeah, it's disturbing.
It paints a really ugly picture. The allegation is that people thought they were, safe within this inner circle, this trusted group. But instead, they were allegedly being filmed the whole time, without knowing. Their most private moments recorded, possibly to be used later.
Used as leverage. I mean, in Hollywood, that's practically currency, right?
Yeah, absolutely, it's power.
And now, this alleged mountain of secrets, this potential leverage, it's in the hands of federal agents. Just imagine the domino effect. Careers could just vanish, reputations completely torched. This isn't just celeb gossip anymore. This could fundamentally reshape the power dynamics in Hollywood.
What's also really interesting is how this whole situation is dredging up old stories. Remember Jaguar Wright?
Vaguely, yeah. What about her?
Years ago, she made these accusations about a really toxic culture in Hollywood, and she specifically named the Carters.
Oh, right. I remember that now. A lot of people blew it off at the time, didn't they?
They did, yeah. But now, with these alleged tapes possibly containing material that could back up her claims, well, people are suddenly looking back at what she said very differently. It gives it a whole new context.
It's like her past words suddenly got a massive amplifier attached. And these allegations now, they're going beyond just, wild parties. We're hearing whispers about something much bigger, like a network operating for decades, involving manipulation, maybe even exploitation. This alleged footage could apparently implicate multiple really huge stars in situations that are damaging legally and reputationally. We could be talking career-ending stuff.
And through all of this, the Carters themselves, complete silence. It's being described as an eerie silence, actually.
Eerie is a good word for it.
Especially when you consider how serious these swirling rumors are. Now, their legal team, supposedly working around the clock, sending out cease and desist letters, trying to pressure media outlets to, shut it down.
Trying to squash it.
But the silence from the top, it almost seems counterproductive, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It's just fueling more speculation. People are asking, what are they trying so hard to hide?
Exactly. You'd expect a really strong immediate denial, right? That's usually the playbook.
Standard PR move, yeah.
But this quiet strategy, it's just making the whole thing feel darker, more suspicious. And then you add in this truly horrifying element, the claims about minors possibly being present at some of these events.
Yeah, that's the part that's deeply disturbing.
The specifics are still murky, thankfully, but just the suggestion is awful. If it turns out to be true, anyone who's there, who knew, who's complicit, they could be looking at serious criminal charges.
Absolutely.
And if the Carters were present, as some of these reports are suggesting, well, suddenly that silence feels incredibly heavy, and not in a good way.
It also makes you think back to Kim Porter's death, Biddy's ex. Remember there were reports she was writing a tell-all book?
Oh yeah, I do remember that. Hinting at industry secrets.
Exactly. Secrets maybe similar to what might be on these alleged tapes. So now, naturally, people are looking again at the circumstances surrounding her death with, let's say, renewed interest and scrutiny. It definitely raises some uncomfortable questions.
Uncomfortable is putting it mildly, and even Tina Knowles, Beyoncé's mom, got tangled up in this briefly with that social media like thing.
Right, the accidental like on a critical post.
Whether it was accidental or not, the internet exploded. It just shows how sensitive everything is right now. It's like, remember Elevator Gate? Any little crack seems magnified. The Carter Fortress might be showing some Strauss.
It feels like it, but, the biggest immediate threat might not even be the public opinion shift, but the potential legal storm brewing.
Okay, how so?
Well, there are more and more reports surfacing about alleged victims getting ready to file lawsuits. And these lawsuits might not just target Diddy. They might also name the Carters and potentially other high-profile people who were allegedly at these events. If those tapes really do contain the kind of proof people are speculating about, this could turn into a massive, very public courtroom battle.
Wow. Okay, so the entire narrative is shifting then. It started out feeling like, salacious celebrity gossip.
Right.
But now it's becoming a much more serious discussion about potential systemic abuse, about power dynamics, about accountability. And as more alleged victims potentially come forward and share their stories, the focus rightly shifts to their experiences.
And the Carters' strategy through all this kind of calculated inaction, it's fascinating to watch. Is it supreme confidence? Do they believe their legal team can make this all go away?
Or is it fear? Fear of what happens if they engage directly, if they make a wrong move.
That's the billion-dollar question, isn't it? And here's another layer, potentially the darkest one. These whispers that some of this alleged footage might already be leaking.
Leaking where?
Onto the dark web, supposedly. If that's actually happening, then it's completely out of anyone's control. No amount of legal maneuvering can contain that once it's out there.
That's terrifying. The genie's out of the bottle.
And the focus keeps coming back to the alleged victims. Some of the accounts starting to surface are just gut-wrenching. There's one story about a woman who says she was lured to a party in Miami.
Okay.
Supposedly, it was framed as a career opportunity, connected to people linked with both Diddy and Jay-Z. But she alleges that instead, she was taken to this huge mansion, apparently with underground rooms.
Underground rooms.
Yeah, and she claims she was given a drink she thinks was drugged, and then was led into a private room. It's horrifying to even recount.
That is just awful. And you're saying there might be more stories like that?
It seems so. Since the federal raids on Diddy's properties happened, apparently more than a dozen similar accounts have started to emerge. Many seem to point to the same locations, the same kind of parties, and chillingly, some of the same very famous names keep coming up.
And is there any proof? Or is it just hearsay at this point?
Well, we're starting to see reports about legal filings that allegedly include things to back up the claims, stuff like photos, text messages, even medical records.
Wow, okay. So actual potential evidence.
It seems that way. And the lawyers representing these alleged victims, they're painting this picture of a deeply entrenched system designed to protect the powerful.
Makes sense. NDAs, intimidation.
Exactly. Using things like non-disclosure agreements, maybe threats, intimidation tactics, anything to keep people quiet, to stop leaks. The argument they're making is that Diddy's tapes, if they exist and show what they think they show, could be the key to finally breaking down that alleged wall of silence, that fortress.
And insiders are suggesting these tapes aren't just random clips, but could show, a coordinated system.
Some sources are suggesting that, yeah, that they might reveal a whole infrastructure of exploitation, possibly even with things like timestamps and metadata that could potentially place specific individuals, maybe even the Carters, at certain locations during specific events.
That kind of digital footprint would be incredibly hard to argue against, wouldn't it?
Very difficult. Which makes the continued silence from the Carters even more noticeable. They've built this entire global brand on image of like untouchable perfection.
Total control, flawless image.
Right. And now, this. The silence is deafening. And you see the fan reaction splitting. You've got the loyal defenders, the Bayhive, fiercely protecting them. And then others who are really starting to ask hard questions, demanding some kind of accountability or at least answers.
You have to imagine behind the scenes, it's just pure chaos for their team right now.
Oh, absolutely. You can bet there are emergency meetings happening constantly. Legal teams, PR strategists, crisis managers, they're reportedly even weighing options like taking legal action against Diddy themselves.
But wouldn't that be incredibly risky?
Hugely risky.
Yeah.
Like we said, any kind of legal fight could potentially force discovery, which might mean those alleged tapes become public record. It's a massive gamble.
So the fear level in Hollywood generally must be off the charts right now.
Palpable, I'd say. You're already seeing people who were once close associates of Diddy trying to distance themselves fast.
Like who?
Well, even someone like LeBron James. His silence is quite noticeable, especially since his name has reportedly come up as a potential witness in some related legal filings. It speaks volumes when someone that high profile stays quiet.
Wow. So this isn't just about Diddy or even just about the Carters anymore, is it?
No, I think this has the potential to blow the lid off an entire culture, a culture of perhaps secrecy, exploitation, and protection for the powerful within the entertainment industry that maybe has existed for a long, long time.
And with the possibility of actual federal charges looming, this could be a real turning point, a reckoning maybe.
It really could be. So I guess the big question we're all left watching and waiting for is the truth finally going to claw its way out of this incredibly tangled mess of allegations, rumors, and potential evidence?
And if it does, what's the final cost going to be? Not just to reputations, but to these vast empires seemingly built on keeping secrets buried deep.